Full. And you know, when the heart is full, the eyes start leaking. I have the honor of introducing our next speaker. Reverend Karen Pascal is the senior minister at New Dawn Centers for Spiritual Living in Aurora, Colorado. And it is also the center that I attend. And I've been there for a year now. And I can tell you that this woman's heart is amazingly deep. It is amazingly open. It is just a wonderful, wonderful experience that you're in for. Reverend Karen mentioned to me this morning that she wanted you to know this, that a year ago, July 20th actually was the day where the shooting happened. And being in that community, Reverend Karen's prayer was, God, make me the vessel. Make me the vessel to be the fulfillment of your will in this situation. Before Reverend Karen comes out to speak, there is a video that she would like for you to see. Then after that, I'm not going to come back out and introduce her because the introduction is being done now. But I just want you to open your hearts, as you've been doing all week with all of the speakers and with yourselves, and be prepared to receive. The video?
know that was difficult. Certainly not what we expect to see at a Silmar. We typically see the butterflies, the flowers, the beauty of nature. So why did I show it to you? It's because I wanted you there. I wanted you in that experience. I wanted you to feel the violence. Because until we are in that, until it is real for us, until it is close to us, we will not transform it. So we have to feel up close and personal in order to really transform. Dr. Ernest Holmes tells us that there is a divine pattern within each of us that is seeking to come forth, and it will come forth through the experiences of our life. And I know that to be true. You know, I don't believe that our lives are intended for us to just, live in this comfort zone all the time, to be comfortable living this mundane existence all the time. God, the divine, is always seeking to bring forth in us the greater. The divine is seeking to bring forth that greater yet to be, that transformation into that greater self, and it is through any and all of our experiences. And so we transform through those experiences. One of my favorite spiritual practices, thanks to Ray Jordan and Dr. Joan Stedman, is visioning. And sort of as Eugene mentioned, in my visioning of my ministry, which I do on a regular basis, almost a daily basis, I say, God, what is the vision that you hold for me of my ministry? And what I've learned from both Ray and from Dr. Stedman is that it's not about the vision. It's not about the what. It's about the who. And so two of the questions that we always ask in visioning is, what do I need to release and what do I need to become? And those are really the focus of visioning, because it's a transformational spiritual practice. So again, it's not about the vision, it's that transformation that takes place within us. And I know that for a long time, the theme for releasing for me was fear, and that what I was to become the leader. And I guess I was supposed to release the fear of being that leader. I'm not sure, all of those things. And so I just was with that, remained with that. The prayer focus was then, show me how to be the leader. Thursday, July 19th, last year, I went to bed thinking, believing that the next day, that Friday, would be like every other Friday for me. I have my routine. Actually, when I went to bed, I've got to be honest, I really didn't think about it. I just knew that Friday was going to be like every other Friday, and that's the day that I prepare my messages, and I get up very early in the morning and do my meditation and meditate on what I'm going to be speaking about. Just like always, it was my routine. It was comfortable. We've spoken so much about Rumi over the past couple of days. There's a book that I love called Love Poems of God. And in there is a translated poem from Rumi that says, when God says, "Where are you?" duck, because the shit's going to hit the fan. I figured if we could talk about descending testicles and asphalt, and I could say shit, but that. I think if I translated it today, I might say, if God says, "Where are you?" run, because I guess God was looking for me was looking for my city, was looking for my spiritual community and beyond. Because I didn't know it when I went to bed on July 19th, that on July 20th, the shit was going to hit the fan. So for me and so many others, 720, as we in Aurora have come to know it, would prove to be anything but comfortable. And God was showing me how I was to become the leader. So after I woke up early that Friday morning, very early in the morning, I broke from my routine a little bit, and rather than just going immediately into meditation and meditating on the message, I got my cup of coffee, I opened up the internet, and on the front MSN page was that there had been a gunman who had opened fire in a crowded movie theater at the opening film of Batman, Dark Knight Rises. Found out that 12 people never left the theater. One of them was a member of our community. You saw Rebecca. The reports initially said 58 people had been wounded. It's well over that. They had been rushed in police cars to the hospital. The police that I have spoken with later continue to have visual memories of the blood-soaked cars as they would take victims to the hospital, come back and get some more, because you see, the ambulances couldn't get to anyone because it was now a crime scene. And there had been thousands of individuals in that theater because it was a multiplex theater. So there were thousands of people outside the theater. As soon as, of course, anybody found out about it, friends, family, loved ones rushed to the site. I could hear the cries of my city, and it was deafening to my ears. I didn't know how to respond. Waves of sadness, shock, anger, fear, helplessness, grief, so many emotions flooded me. What should I do? Had any members of New Dawn been at that theater? How would I know? What should I do? I thought, should I call people? It was way too early in the morning to call anyone. And of course, I had to write a message. What should that message be? I'd sort of had an idea of what it was going to be, but should I stick to that plan? Should I do something different? Should I go to the site? How can I support my city? How can I support my spiritual community? How was I to lead? I didn't know. I thought and I thought and I thought. And the more I thought, the more confused I became, and I paced and sat down and stood up and tried to write a message, and because I had to complete it, because I knew that, as soon as people woke up, they were going to know, and it was going to get busy, and I wouldn't be able to get this, and then I wouldn't be prepared for Sunday, and it was my routine. It was comfortable. I was physically up, I was down, I was back, I was forth. If anybody had been watching, they would have been certain that I was suffering from ADHD. Much later in the morning, area ministers began to call. They heard the news. They began calling. They were offering their support. And that was really, really nice. Dr. Roger called. Dr. Waterhouse called. Dr. Gordon called. It was wonderful. I didn't ask them, what is it, tell me what I need to do. And of course, they didn't say, okay, Karen, here's the checklist, and this is what you need to do. And so hours of being frantic, of being thinking, I learned the first key to transformation in any situation, and that was surrender. Oh, there had been many times during that morning that I said, okay, God, I don't know what to do. What is it that I'm supposed to do? Tell me what it is that I'm supposed to be doing, but I'll tell you the truth. And I hope my spiritual community's not watching this so they don't know that this is the truth about me. That as soon as those words got out of my lips, I returned to my head. Because I had to figure it out. We talk as religious scientists, we talk a lot about surrender. I say the word. I've said the word lots of times, surrender, but I didn't know what surrender meant. At some point, I don't remember exactly when it was, I fell to my knees. I was down so low. That's when I learned surrender. It was hours that I'd been back and forth and up and down and thinking and praying and asking and all of that. Why does it take us so long? Maybe it doesn't you. But it does. It did me. It did me. You know, there's a serenity in surrender. There's a serenity when we really, really, really give it over to God. And while I was on my knees, I learned the second key to transformation, and that's listening. And again, we talk about listening. I'm not telling you anything new. We talk about listening. But you see, when I said, God, I don't know what to do, tell me what to do, make me the leader that I know you're desiring me to be, I hadn't surrendered and I wasn't listening. Maybe I'm alone in this one too. I don't know. I don't think so. Okay? Listening. There's a deep, deep listening. But sometimes, I don't know about you, but for me, I kind of get in the way of that because, again, I say it, and then I go back into the mind. I go back into the figuring it out. I was talking with a young adult the other day, and if you're out there, David, this is yours. He says, we've got the mental thing down. We camp at the tent of the mental. Listening. I was getting ready the other morning, and at home I'm used to having a magnified mirror. You know, when you get older, you got to have the magnified mirror. And you know, they don't have those magnified mirrors here, and the lighting isn't very good, and the mirror from the vanity is way over there. And so luckily I had brought with me a little tiny compact with a magnified mirror on it. And as I was getting ready, I would put the magnified mirror in front of me, and I would try to, put on the eyeliner and the mascara and everything. And that's tricky to really look at that and then get and all of this. And so it seemed like the mirror, I'd kind of move it, and then the big mirror was there, okay? So this mirror that I had right in front of me magnified me. It was that bigness of who I am that was right in front of me. But when I moved it even slightly, I was distracted by the littleness. And I realized that that's what happens to me sometimes, is that I don't always have that vision of that bigness of who I am, of that godness that I am. I don't always have it right smack in front of me. It moves around some, and I'm distracted by the littleness, by the mental, by the thinking, by the figuring it out. But as soon as I brought back that mirror in front of me, that littleness I knew was there, but it wasn't distracting me. So listening, surrender, and listen. Pope Paul VI said, of all the human activities, man's listening is God's supreme. Listening to God is the supreme act. On 7/20, I learned a deeper listening. And the third key to transformation that I learned that day, that weekend, was to open to love. Azim talked about this so much. William Cather said, "Where there is great love, there are great miracles." I was amazed at the outpouring of love that took place from all of you, from across the globe. I received so many emails and phone calls, so many of you, ministers, practitioners, laity. We were raising funds for the 2 little girls that you saw, and between our community and this spiritual community, we raised over $20,000 to place in their college fund. And I remember when I was talking with Dr. Ken, I said, I was so amazed. I was so touched by that love that I felt and that love that was shared to me. And he said to me, that's who we are. We're a spiritual community. That day I opened to a greater love in realizing that my spiritual community isn't just New Dawn in Aurora, it is all of us. Yeah. And the other thing that I learned, probably the biggest thing for me, was I had to love myself even more to be able to accept all of the love that was being offered. God sent so many angels to love me. New Dawn, all of the community in New Dawn, they loved me so much. All of us in Aurora, for me it felt that I was being lifted by all of you, by my community of New Dawn. I've never, ever felt so much love before. Again, we talk about the palpable love. I have never, ever, ever experienced such love. It was incredible. And the more that I opened to it, the larger that love was. And then you know what else happened? I had more to give. I had so much more to give. And that's what happens. That's what takes place. So the more we open, a broken heart, as Azim said, is an open heart. It's huge. It's huge. You know, we're all going to have transforming experiences in our lives. Some of them are going to be little. Some of them are going to be big. Maya Angelou calls them soulful experiences. They're always going to be there. Vivian Green said it so perfectly, life isn't about waiting for the storms to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. It's always going to be there. Because that divine pattern is seeking to emerge, to transform from what is to what can be. So many gifts came out of that. So many people have asked, how's your community? How's Aurora doing? We just had our 720 remembrance. The city is doing well. We continue to be in that place of healing. God's grace. It's interesting, the theme in 2012 for our church was it's a launch, and we were launched, I will tell you. And the theme that came forth for this year, 2013, was living in gratitude and grace. God's grace brought forth so much for us. A closer community at New Dawn with open hearts. Open hearts for the people that are there, but open hearts for the people that are to come. I've established a deep and wonderful relationship with Rebecca's former husband, who is Pentecostal. And Martha, you'll understand. But we come together in the language of love. And that has transformed everything. So that we're there for the girls. And it's just been wonderful. And through the relationship and all that took place, I had an opportunity to be with Reverend Jesse Jackson. We were able to meet in Robert's living room, and I got to witness him as a reverend, not just an activist. We have an increased role in the city of Aurora. Everything is so good, So good. Each speaker has shared basically throughout this entire week the same thing. Have you noticed? Why do you think that is? I believe it's because we are supposed to get it now. In the midst of that transformation, just remember, surrender, listen deeply, open to love. Isn't it interesting that the movie that night was Dark Knight Rises? Because we can. I want to close today. I want to thank Lisa Ferrero. God bless you. Thank you so much. She worked with me because there was something that I wanted to do that was so important to me, because through so many transformations of my life, Jamie Lula and his music has been there for me. And this was no different. So I asked them to close with the song that we closed with that Sunday. And interestingly enough, 39 days after that tragedy, I had an opportunity to do a couple days retreat in order to do my own processing and my own grief work. And there was a labyrinth there that I walked and 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 I walked. And Jamie's song, I sang over and over and over and over and over again with him. And God bless him, he was going to leave last night, and he agreed to stay today. So,
Oh.